Hello and happy Star Wars Day to everybody who is watching slash listening right now. This is the first episode of our weekly Bad Batch recap show, and I am your host, Braydon Leadbetter.
I'm your co-host, Jackson Jaylene.
And we are here to discuss the Bad Batch. Now, this is a show that people who have been listening since the beginning know that this hasn't been very highly anticipated for me, only because, I just recently finished the Clone Wars and that kind of thing. Where was this on your level of anticipation for you, Jackson?
I was pretty hyped about this actually, and once seeing more trailers and stuff, I got more and more excited, and I was caught up with Clone Wars whenever the Bad Batch first appeared last year.
Yeah.
With the start of season 7. And those are fun episodes. Those are good episodes. I think it's kind of funny as those are the episodes I watch to get like my Anakin like content in that animation style.
Yeah.
But I always thought they were just kind of fun. I think from those episodes wasn't like, oh, the Bad Batch, like I need more of them. I was just like, oh, that was
something that I was
cool.
Like, oh,
that was
yes,
fun.
Give me a show with these guys.
Yeah,
I was never like that.
But since seeing obviously the trailers, I was like, okay, this will be exciting. This will be cool to see more, at least of this animation style, because I think they really, especially with this show, is I think a lot of the animators are like, we pulled some cool stuff with this show. Like the stuff we did is really, really like fun to watch and look at. So
yeah, and they were right by saying get a 4K TV to watch this show, because I have a 4K TV and man, it looked so good. Like there's something with the cinematics and the kind of like the lens blur, like the lens distortion.
Ooh,
like it's so subtle.
It feels a lot more realistic, and I think like the just the figures and like the movements are much more human, much more animated in the sense of just like they react to smaller things. For this. I wouldn't be surprised, but I will say that there are some scenes, especially I would say the earlier scenes of this new special. It feels very computer animated. It looks computer generated. The conversation in their little hut, there was just a moment where I was like, it's not that it looked bad. It just looked like it's like jarring. It's like your brain kind of tells you that that's like different and
because it's just not in a natural environment. I think.
And I think for me it was almost. I think I kind of deduced it to be like layering. That it was just like I could tell these were like figures on top of a background, and
right.
But I think it all looks great and all looks beautiful.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, let's kind of jump into the episode here. Kind of starting out, what is your kind of big picture reaction, and what did you think of the episode as a whole?
I thought it was a lot of fun, actually. It was a good bit of fun. I like how much it gave us, especially even fitting in a 70-minute episode. Like, I feel like I got a lot. We went through a lot of different stuff in that episode.
It's a very cinematic viewing experience.
Yeah, and I liked how much of a little mini movie it did feel.
Yeah.
It was really cool, and I think its ending really kind of obviously set itself up for just its next episode, but like it just was cool. Like just I don't know, it just was a good time. It was cool. It was fun.
How do you think that this show stacks up to the Clone Wars so far? Just like how the story is told. It's very similar to the Clone Wars, but how do you think it stacks up to the Clone Wars?
Well, I have already noticed the difference of how Clone Wars feels like. It's very like Clone Wars is almost like it's telling the tales of the war of like, this is the great story of, when these generals and this clone, company and all this and that. Whereas like Bad Batch is kind of like, Bad Batch is kind of more like the personal story to it. I can tell like tonal wise, it's much more grounded and kind of realistic in that sense. It's much more aware of kind of stuff rather than being this story.
Yeah, I think the big difference is this show follows the same group of people the whole time.
Yeah.
Whereas in Clone Wars, like one episode we're with the Jedi, and then the next episode we're with a bunch of clones, and we're gonna have a different arc with them. And one episode we're with the droids, we have an arc with them. I think with this, we're gonna get a very like a narrative, linear telling of this story, and we're gonna stay with the actual Clone Force 99 the whole
much
time.
more specific character growth rather than story character growth.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where this will go. Let's get into the well, how about before we do that, what is your favorite member of the Bad Batch?
I honestly, actually watching during this episode, I really like Hunter so far.
Yeah,
something about Hunter. I like his empathy, his passion, kind of.
I like Tech.
I like Tech too. I like Echo. I like how Echo's very, very much been like welcomed and like accepted into the group very easily. He's been
like grandfathered into the Bad Batch.
Yeah, he's just like there, and he's just like, "Hey guys, yeah." He's just chilling.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like every single one of them is like a stereotype of like some kind of soldier. Like you always have like the scout and like the like basically Team Fortress 2 characters.
Yeah.
And,
for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of cool that, you know, especially someone like Tech, who is like so intelligent and kind of is the voice of reason for the whole group. I like that a lot. But well, kind of jumping off the beginning of this episode really throws you in because we see that we see the Tom Kane voiceover, kind of like the Clone Wars-esque, because this is basically Clone Wars Season 8. And then we get kind of like the animated version of the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, which is really cool. We see like Kenobi on Grievous's ship, and like it's basically they're animating.
They do a quick
lot of
recap,
the scenes from Revenge of the Sith, which is really cool. I thought that was I thought this was what we were going to get with Clone Wars Season 7, but
well, and they kind of did that with Clone Wars Season 7, where they show like Plo Koon's like planet that he's on when he dies. They show like Grievous sitting on his ship, and it's just they do those quick little montage shots.
Yeah, and then we're on this other planet where we see we see Caleb Doom, which is eventually Kanan Jarrus, and Depa Billaba. And as soon as I didn't even realize it was Caleb Doom until he came in, because I for some reason I didn't recognize Depa Billaba.
I actually wanted to ask you, what did you think about Freddie Prinze Jr. still voicing?
He didn't need to voice an 11-year-old man.
He did not. He did not, and like it's fun and cute that like they did it, but like
if Freddie had to do it, they could have at least like pitched his voice up or something to make it.
They could have at least made Kanan a little older looking to like match, like maybe like it just had 15. A deep voice. Yeah,
make him
like
15 or 16. You don't even make him 10 years old with a 40-year-old man's voice. So I don't know about that. At first I thought they did kind of pitch it up, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then it was just very jarring.
Well, like it started like good, and then like once everything goes down, and he's like serious. You're like, that's a grown man yelling at him.
Yeah, and one thing that kind of caught me off guard is where this show kind of picks up. I didn't expect it to pick up like right before Order 66. I thought it would be post Clone Wars, post all of that, and it would be a little more like we're already in the Empire and all of that kind of stuff.
No, I expected to I thought 66 was going to happen while they were on Camino. I thought that's when it was going to kick in. Yeah, because a lot of the trailer footage is them like sneaking around, and obviously we figured out what that was. Yeah. But like, my idea was that that's when 66 took place. No, I anticipated that to be the first thing. Is like 66 happens and it didn't affect them because they're all defected and whatnot.
Well, what was your reaction to seeing young Kanan here in the beginning?
I thought it was nice. I thought it was a cool little homage to Rebels.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. I totally told someone on Facebook today, like, you probably don't need to like watch all like Rebels to like understand like everything. And I still kind of hold by that, like in the serious manner. But I think it's funny that I started Bad Batch and the first person to pop up was Kanan Jarrus, and I was like, well, now this woman's not gonna know who this person is.
I mean, it's not a need to know thing. It's just a fun thing if you watch Rebels.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I remember seeing a tweet. I think I sent you the tweet, and they basically said that they had watched the first few episodes of Bad Batch, and there's a character that pops up that was really unexpected, and I was like, who would that be? Is it like Anakin or something? And then lo and behold, it's probably Kanan. But yeah, like I was saying before, it took me a second to actually recognize Kanan because I didn't really remember what his master looked like because they just show up in like a hologram in Clone Wars season 7, and that's about it.
They're in like one of the meeting rooms.
Yeah. But kind of moving on here from that sequence, and then they kind of we have the death of Depa Billaba, which that was kind of depressing.
That was hardcore.
Yeah. I didn't realize they would just go there.
It's when like he stops, like he's running and she screams, and then he stops and he's like, oh.
Yeah. And Kanan's reaction to it is really heartbreaking as well. I was like, wow, they're all of the balls are in their court right now.
Well, and like it makes it really it makes it kind of hit harder when like you think about the scene in Rebels when Kanan first interacts with the clones afterwards. Yeah. And you're just like, even then, like some of those clones knew the clones he was with, and they're just like, that's rough, Like it's that weird small world of like, hey, like your best friend probably killed some of my best friends.
Yeah, and how in Rebels, how like Kanan has this weird bias against clone troopers.
Yeah.
And we don't really know
why. He doesn't fully believe that like 66 was like, that's the reason he was just like.
Yeah, they think they just turned because. Yeah. I think this was a great, opening kind of a little glimpse into Kanan's youthhood. But kind of getting past all that, we arrive back on Kamino, and this is kind of, where we learn, or the Bad Batch learns that the Republic is now the Empire. Now, did they use the actual audio from Revenge of the Sith on that sequence? I think they did.
If they didn't, I bet you they just is Ian McDermott? Yeah, he's obviously still alive. I probably just redid it.
I don't know. It sounded like they just ripped the audio from Revenge of the Sith and put it in.
They probably did. That would be my first like take on it. But I bet you if they wanted it different in some shape or form, or it needed some more clarity of the speech, I bet you Ian McDermott's probably still going to be in this show a little more.
You think it'll be Ian McDermott?
Isn't it for not all of Clone Wars, but some of Clone Wars? He did some.
I know it was for a little bit. It was Tim Curry.
That's my favorite one. Is Tim Curry?
He's actually a great Palpatine. But
Sam Witwer does some too. Yeah. He was it for a little while, and
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think if he does show up again, I think we'll probably get the Witwer Palpatine, just because
that makes sense.
He is at like the disposal of Lucasfilm right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So, what did you kind of think of Omega as a character? Because we don't really learn that much about her, but we do see what she's kind of capable of there.
I actually really liked her. I thought she was going to be. I almost had this be like, all right, well, I guess like the like little kid plot's like cute and fun or whatever. Yep. But I don't know. There's that capability that she brings, that I think she naturally clicks with them. What do you think? What do you think?
You meant like my Omega theory?
Yeah, what do you think?
I see a lot of different like weird like how maybe like she's a clone of Palpatine or something, or yeah, I don't know, but I do have this weird theory that maybe she has all like a combination of all the special skills that everyone in the Bad Batch has, because she does have like the accuracy, and she's never shot a blaster before. Yeah. And she's super smart and all that kind of thing. So it kind of seems like they may be going that route.
I kind of agree, and like I'm in the same boat. I think she's kind of like Rogue from the X-Men in that she can absorb powers, not to keep,
interesting,
but more because like she senses Crosshair's like emotions, and I think that, and I was like, okay, maybe that's her power, is like she can just feel and read like emotions, and she can, I think she can like see people's minds, but I think also from that as well she can like absorb like that power or like that like ability that they have.
Yeah.
So, and I wonder if we see more of that, like if she does it to Wrecker, will she get super strength all of a sudden, you know?
That would be hilarious to see.
So yeah, that's kind of what I'm going off of, is that she's kind of like Rogue. Do you think that
there's any possibility that she could be force sensitive?
I don't know. Why not? I mean, like maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah, I don't know. There's at this point we know nothing, because there were so many points in this episode where they like almost brought up where she came from, and then someone just cut her off, or like someone like just changed the subject. So I don't really know. It'll be interesting to see when that is revealed.
Is she? Well, she's obviously like a girl. She's supposed to be a girl, Tamara Morrison, so she is a clone.
Yeah, as the New Zealand accent.
Yeah, I'm like, I almost wonder like. I wonder if some of her clone DNA was actually taken from a Jedi as well.
Ooh.
And she's like a mix. She's like, and they hid it in a like a clone like body sample that they have. There was
that shot wherever they had that Jedi in a body bag getting pulled out and the lightsaber fell.
That was a rough shot.
Yeah,
that one hit. That was a cold shot.
Yeah, I still don't. I can't tell who that Jedi is, because I didn't recognize the saber, and the arm was like purple, so I don't really know.
Yeah, and I think I took it as it just being a Jedi that was
some
there.
Undisclosed Jedi.
Yeah. I love how dark this show's going to feel. I love
it's only going to get darker from here.
The heaviness it's going to carry with the Empire coming in. I love that modern like cinematic take of how like the Empire comes to power, and just the actual weight and darkness that it carries, you know?
Yeah, it'll be a nice change of tone from Clone Wars, I think.
I agree. I agree.
So kind of moving on here, Tarkin comes and kind of, you know, it has a talk with the Kaminoan Prime Minister, and basically says that we're not going to need your clones anymore because we're going to be recruiting men because they're cheaper. That's essentially what he says. What is your kind of theory of how the clones are going to be kind of weeded out and the recruits are going to become the stormtroopers?
I think that they'll essentially start like once they have enough like in power, because I'm trying to think back in Rebels of when like Rex talks about it, because Rex is like, they used us for a little while and then he was like, and then they just kind of switched us out, they didn't need us anymore, which leads me to believe that once they have like a full army, I think right now they're building their important aspects, and that's what they're using some of the clones for, i.e. what happens to Crosshair. I think Crosshair is going to become like Tarkin's assassin.
Oh, you think so?
That's kind of what I think is leading, is that he's going to be Tarkin's personal hitman.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how they'll, you know, replace and use the clones with the Empire.
Yeah. I don't know either, because it seems like maybe at some point, like in the transition period, maybe they did turn some clones. Like the first stormtroopers were clones.
Right.
And then as more people got recruited and the clones were sort of, you know, starting to age and get less capable, they kind of, you know,
I wonder if they'll start doing equipment crossover soon, to where they're going to start actually I think you're kind of right, is that they're going to be clone stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And the whole point is to be like, get rid of the clone troopers, like they show the Republic, and the Republic isn't like good right now, they're evil.
Yeah.
So like we need to get these people into these new outfits and this new equipment and the look of the Galactic Empire, and essentially that will bring in recruits, that'll bring in people, and
this clone armor doesn't fit my aesthetic.
Yeah, I feel like I bet you these clones are gonna be like, I can't see crap in this. Like,
Why do you think they can't shoot whenever?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a great backstory. But yeah, I think we hopefully will get the answer in this show. Kind of the whole transition process from clone troopers to stormtroopers. But kind of moving forward here again, we get that cafeteria scene where there's like basically a food fight.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was just a nice fun break in the episode. I was expecting it to just go all out Max Keeble style food fight, but we get to this point where Tarkin is basically testing all of the clones because he's basically trying to prove
seeing how much they're worth.
He wants them to fail. Yeah, he basically wants them to fail so he can basically
prove his point.
Defund Camino and no longer produce clones and basically get the clones out of here because again, to resemble they're too much of a resemblance of the Republic. But what did you kind of think of that whole battle simulation kind of test that the Bad Batch went through? I think it was really nice to see them prove Tarkin wrong. That was awesome.
I gasped when they shot Wrecker.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew they were using live rounds, but I was still like, it was like they shot him. I was like, oh my god.
No one shoots Wrecker.
He goes, oh, I felt that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The battle scene was really cool. I love how. Like, I think that was Tarkin's point, was to see how well they could adapt, and they obviously were able to very well. But I love how unpredictable like the Empire is already turning out to be. For everybody, and I think that was kind of shown. And like, I think it's interesting that like the people like Tarkin are the ones in charge. Like Tarkin's definitely like he says, never assume anything. Yeah. He's like that. It's like that. That's instantly the kind of people Palpatine put in power that like got the Empire to move so quickly. Yeah, this was a fun scene. Mainly, I was kind of more like that, but I took it more of I got to kind of really watch what Tarkin did. I like Tarkin a lot.
You like Tarkin?
Yeah,
I hope you like him for the right reasons and not the wrong reasons.
No, I mean like, yeah, I love the like, I guess the grandeur that he carries of being such a like, such a very like tactical person, you know, like the man's crazy and like is like
you don't admire the man.
You're right. I understand the man and like, yeah, I enjoy Tarkin's character design and I like that they are implementing him more.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of Tarkin in this whole show, but I think that battle simulation test sequence, whatever you want to call it, I think that was the most fun I had in the episode, just because you know, one, I want to see Tarkin get proven wrong all the time because it's so nice to see that. I don't know why. I like Tarkin as a character. I just don't like his little attitude. It annoys me.
He's a smug little turd.
He's a little turd. But yeah, and then you know the way that they are all so like in tune with each other all the time, and they can like tell what the next person's move is. And I remember whenever they tried to do the hand signal, and Wrecker was like, "I don't know what that means."
Hand signal.
He's like, "Yeah, what we did on Felucia." He's like, "Why didn't you say so?" But yeah, I think that scene was great too. And then, you know, they go on another mission, and they're supposed to be, what was the mission for again? They're supposed to be,
they were supposed to take out separatist insurgents.
Separatist insurgents, is right.
Yeah, take out separatist insurgents.
And then, little do they know, they run into Saw Gerrera and his crew of, you know, kind of Republic refugees.
What was his group called? What is his group? What does his rebellion group turn out to be?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
It's like Freedom something, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah, well, I would argue that probably Saw was probably one of the earliest rebels.
Absolutely.
Because I think he's kind of he to me, he feels like he was very much like the inspiration for the Rebel Alliance because they kind of saw what could be done.
Fighting since day one,
and he even said like, I don't expect us to win with this many people, but if we had more people, there might be a chance.
Right.
And that's kind of, the spark to light the fire to burn the Empire down. But what did you kind of think of this whole mission, the Saw sequence, and they find out they're being spied on by a probe droid and all that kind of thing?
I love like the Vietnam aesthetic of like being on the forests of Onderon, and I just Hunter looks like Sylvester Stallone to me. He looks like Rambo.
Yeah, I think that's what he's modeled after. Rambo.
And I think that was kind of funny seeing Hunter like in this like jungle aesthetic, and you're like, wow, I love First Blood. No, this was fun. I kind of expected this to be once Tarkin said Onderon, I was like, Saw Gerrera. I was like, great, cool, we're getting Saw.
And we saw it in that trailer too, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I appreciate how it was just a conversation, knowing who Saw is and knowing who Saw becomes. Yeah. Saw becomes someone who does not have a conversation anymore. So I think it's interesting that he gives these people a chance. Because I think
he's a lot less ruthless than he becomes.
He still has hope, I think. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of I think that hope that he loses is what turns him more and more extreme. This was definitely it was very heartbreaking seeing like women and children and like families just have to like give up their life to just fight for being in a home. And it was crazy. It was a very guess just like eye-opening scene for like especially someone like the clones who are trying to like figure everything out, like of what's happening, like why is this all happening all of a sudden, and to kind of understand the like immediate like danger and evil of the Empire.
Yeah, and it kind of puts in perspective, kind of like you said, how detrimental it was that the Republic turned into the Empire, and how and I forgot who said it. It was sometime in the episode, and someone was like, "What difference does it make? It used to be a republic, and now it's just called an empire."
Crosshair says it.
Was it Cross? Yeah. And they're all kind of like, "Yeah, but."
They're like, "That's not." Like
it's not the same thing.
Yeah, we aren't for who's this empire? Yeah.
Yeah, we don't get ruled by an emperor, but yeah, I think that it really, puts the galaxy and, this big change for the galaxy into perspective a lot. And then they come back to Kamino against the warnings of Omega, and they get captured as expected. And I was kind of getting frustrated at this scene with Crosshair because Crosshair just does not care about the rest of the Bad Batch. I don't want to say that. I just think that he is too for following orders, while the whole Bad Batch basically stands for not following orders.
It's because his chip turned on.
Yeah, it's his chip, but it just annoys me. Like it's just like, stop it.
That you're Crosshair. Like that. He's just like immediately. He's just like this. Well, they question it too in the cell.
Yeah,
they're like, when have you been for following orders? Like, what's wrong with you? And he's just like nothing. He's just like nothing.
Yeah, but I think this kind of whole their escape sequences, it's really fun, and then they eventually come out and take out Crosshair, and they like have him inspected for the inhibitor chip, and they basically go back and intensify it and multiply it by 1,000 to where he is like this basically a robot now. He's basically a puppet for Tarkin, essentially. Which is, to your point, I think there's a good chance he'll become something like Tarkin's assassin or something like that.
That's so rad.
And then, they all kind of escape and they're going back to the ship, and then Crosshair comes out with this new kind of blacked out getup.
It's the like elite look. I think Crosshair is going to lead the elite soldiers. It's going to be his squad. It'll be his squad.
Do you think that Crosshair will be kind of the big bad for this show?
I think
aside from Tarkin Emperor, Empire, that kind of thing.
I think Crosshair will be like the antagonist And then it'll be like the Empire, and I think Tarkin will be like the show kind of like big bad, like the consistent big bad on top of Crosshair.
Yeah, what did you think of like this whole kind of I don't want to say climactic sequence, but just kind of the ending sequence here on this battle on the landing deck of Kamino?
The battle itself, I thought was fine. There were definitely much better moments fight wise. I thought the scene of Hunter and Crosshair having a conversation, I thought that was actually a really good scene.
Yeah.
Going back to which Bad Batch, I also really like Crosshair. I just like just kind of him to begin with in season 7, just kind of his aesthetic. But yeah, that scene of them standing, like the lighting coming through the hangar doors was really cool.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was good.
It kept making me nervous whenever they had like the smoke grenades come out, and then Crosshair was using like his thermal radar to find them. Right. And I was like, oh man, that's scary. Cause
he sees them the whole way. Yeah.
And then, kind of this episode kind of ends as, they all kind of escape, and Omega, ends up getting the blaster and allowing them to escape because she shoots at Crosshair. And then they get on their ship and they're on their way, and they basically say they're going to see. Well, we blah blah blah. We don't have friends, but we do have one, and let's set course to J19. We have a friend. Who is that going to be? Who do you think this is?
I'm looking up where is J19.
I don't think it's really a place that has previously been established, because it could be someone like a Rex. But I don't know. What is your theory? Who do you think they're going to see?
Can I throw out an odd one?
Yeah,
I think it might be Gregor.
Gregor. Oh yeah.
I don't know why. That just seems like that seems like someone that is familiar enough that we as the audience would know who it is. That also makes sense for the Bad Batch to know, because the Bad Batch could possibly run into them on their journeys.
Yeah.
Plus, I would assume Gregor has to find his way to Rex and Wolf at some point.
What if it is Gregor with Rex and Wolf?
I also think it might be Rex. I think Rex, obviously he's in the trailer, but I don't know if he'll be in the next episode or the one afterwards. Yeah, I don't know
when we'll have Rex show up. But I've seen a lot of people theorizing that it could be Cutlaw Quain from the second season of Clone Wars, and it's the guy who like married the Twi'lek, and they have the kids. He was like a defective clone. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that also would be cool. That'd be fun. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who it could be.
I don't either. But kind of closing it up here, what are kind of some of your predictions and theories going forward, going into episode 2 on Friday?
Specifically for episode 2,
or just for the future of the series?
Well, I guess I want to ask you, do you think we'll see Vader? I
think we will. Yeah.
I think we will too.
Yeah.
I think he'll pop up at least once.
We kind of have to, right?
I think so, yeah.
If we're getting all of this Tarkin content, and Tarkin is kind of Vader's.
They didn't make that Clone Wars Vader look for nothing,
like. Yeah, I think that we're definitely going to see it might not even be a major scene. We might just like see him in passing for a scene, or like, I don't think they'll make a big deal out of it, but I think it'll be cool to see Vader, and I think we'll probably see more Emperor, of course.
I'd be cool if we also got a big deal out of Vader too. Not saying he's got to be like an integral part of the story, but if you get like a cool scene,
Or, give us an Ahsoka episode like they did for Mandalorian.
I wonder if we'll see Ahsoka when we see Rex.
Interesting. Yeah, that's possible too. Because, all of these big, if these kind of characters do show up, they're never going to they're not going to show us that kind of stuff in a trailer or anything like that.
Right. No, that's all the juicy stuff they're keeping from us.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get some surprises. I'm sure we will, but hopefully we'll get some surprises in the coming episodes. When do you think we'll see Fennec Shand? Because she's got to show up sometime. I'm having a hard time picturing when they'll run into her. Or even
I wonder if it has to do with something. I don't know why I'm picturing her being on Coruscant.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know because I think we need to be introduced more to the Omega plot to understand what the show plot will be.
Yeah.
And then we can base when and where and how these characters will be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go with the whole Omega thing, because I wonder how much they're actually going to reveal to us in this season.
Yeah.
Or if they're just gonna, have Omega along for their adventures and not really dig into her character as much, which I think would be a mistake. I think they are gonna clue us in a little more.
I think they'll for sure kind of explain who she is, but then have her be like part of the team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all up in the air right now. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And until Friday, we're getting 2 episodes this week, which is nice starting off because it gives us a chance to really get invested in this show. So that'll be nice. But do you have any other closing thoughts on this episode?
No, I'm all good.
Well, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this first episode of The Batch Report. If you want to find us on our social medias, you can find us on Instagram at Through Imperialized Pod, on Twitter at Imperialized Pod, YouTube, you can just search up Through Imperialized Podcasts, and if you're watching it, you're already here. And Jackson, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, as always, at QuacksandScaline. That's QUACKSON. And scaling like the triangle. And then you can follow my photography Instagram at Daleen_photography. It's DALEEN_photography. Braydon, what about you?
And as always, you can find me on Instagram at braydonleadbetter and on Twitter at braydathlon. And guys, don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Don't forget to leave that review and rating on Apple Podcasts if you are a user of the Apple Podcasts. And if you are not, if you have Spotify, whatever you listen on, leave us that rating, leave us that follow, leave us that review. Really helps out the show. I promise you it really, really does. But again, please stay tuned for this week. We're going to be having a lot of fun. It's a busy week for us this week. We got a news episode Thursday, 2 episodes we got to record on Friday. It's going to be a long week, but it'll be fun, juicy Star Wars content. So please make sure to tune in for that and tune in on Friday for our episode 2 recap. But until then, may the 4th be with you.